Hi everyone, it's Mark again here, and I'm the founder of the Arts and Culture Network. I'm joined by Anjali Varma. Anjali is one of our 4 members, and it's a delight to meet her. Anjali, thank you so much for joining me today for this.
Thank you for having me, Mark. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you very much. I should point out that we've just done something a bit odd. I've shown Anjali where I live on Google Earth, and then we traveled to where she is on Google Earth. So we did about 6,000 miles in about 3 seconds, which was great. A little bit weird, but it's only a bit of fun. So Anjali, would you like to introduce yourself to all our members?
Absolutely. So as Mark said, my name is Anjali, and I'm a recent graduate with a master's in arts administration, and I'm passionate about generally arts and culture, but mostly international arts and culture and how it can help create a world which can, create more understanding and cultural awareness and respect. And that's what I try to focus on mostly and am very interested in. So yeah, I'm looking into jobs that can help me create a world like that.
That's great. And on that, we did have something of a success story that very nearly didn't happen from your first visit to one of our free networking groups. Remind me what happened.
Yeah, so what actually happened was I was actually looking for jobs to, I think I should rewind. So I'm an international student here in the US right now, and after I graduate, I have a certain amount of time before I need to find a job so that I can still continue in the US. So it was around the deadline of this period that I was scrambling to look for jobs. And in the process of all of that scrambling, I had forgotten that I'd signed up for an Arts and Cultural Network speed networking event. So 10 minutes before the event, I find out like, oh, this is happening. So I was like, how do I decide? Do I do the things that I planned on doing, or do I go for this networking event? Okay, I finally decided I'd go for it. And that was the first time I attended the meeting. It was wonderful. And that's one of the people that I networked with turned out to be a person. Her name's Jenny, and she was looking for someone who can help her expand her marketing agency. And I was also looking for a job, so we decided to help each other out. And that was the story of how my first ever networking event with Arts and Culture Network ended up with me getting a job that would help me stay in the US. So,
well, no, I love that. I've got one of those glows going on of satisfaction, because there were so many things that might not have happened that could have prevented that from happening. So first, I might not have started the Arts and Culture Network. There we go. In which case, it doesn't happen. I might not have started random speed networking events on Zoom so everybody from all over the world could get there. So it doesn't happen. You might have chosen at the last minute in that 10-minute warning to say, you know what, I'll go to another one. Perhaps there's another one. I won't skip this one. The same thing might have happened to Jenny. Jenny might have chosen. Yeah. And you may not have been paired up at random. So it's
all up to chance.
Every one of those events had to happen for you to get a job at the last minute that allowed you to stay in the US.
I know it was literally last minute.
Absolutely, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I remember making an appeal on your behalf to people saying when we introduced you, but that's fantastic. But I gather your newfound skill at networking has produced something else. So tell me about what happened next.
Yes. So about a month into my work with Jenny, which is a contract basis. So it's a short-term apprenticeship, which is training as well as a part-time job. So I was still in the market for looking for a full-time job. So I realized that as an international student, it's difficult to find jobs by just cold applications. So thanks to the networking event, I've started to, get more comfortable with networking, talking to more people, talking about myself, my skills, and all of that. So I realized there was an opportunity to look for probably some, start out with volunteering for local arts organizations. So recently I found out that there was a dance recital coming up, and it was an Indian dance recital. And I have background in Indian classical dances. So I decided, okay, maybe if I go there, tell them about my skills and, you know, who was in charge, whoever was in charge, I would go there and talk to them and something might pop up. That was the idea. So I was like, okay, let's go see what happens. And I went and talked to the teacher whose students were performing that day. And she pointed me towards the director of the local Indian Arts Foundation, who is actually looking for someone like me, an arts administrator. And I was like, okay, great. Let's go talk to this person. And he was extremely like ecstatic to meet someone because he had been trying to look for someone who had the background in Indian arts and culture as well as management. So yeah, it turned out for the best. It was again chance that it actually ended up happening and the ability to network. So now I have 2 part-time jobs. So yay. All thanks to networking.
Oh, that's fantastic. It's always great to hear those success stories. Thank you very much for sharing that, Anjali. So tell us a little bit about, I mean, that sounds like an ideal role, but where do you see your career going in geographically and in terms of the responsibilities that you'd like to take on?
Yeah, so, sorry. As I mentioned before, I am very much interested in international arts and culture and what it can do to create a more inclusive, more culturally aware world and more respectful world. And in that idea, I like, in the future, I like to, you know, see myself as a person who sets up my own international arts and cultural center, which would have all the aspects of performing arts, visual arts, even martial arts, any kinds of arts, and even literature, anything that's connected to an arts and culture from various different places, so that people can be accustomed to the fact that the world is diverse. And, you know, there's this saying in India that goes like unity in diversity. And India is particularly known to be a very diverse country. And being brought up in a place like that, it was very different when I came to the US, seeing that everyone just conglomerated into the US lifestyle. And I figured it's really nice. I enjoy diversity, and people should know that everyone doesn't live like how people live in the US. And so yeah, idea is to set up my own international arts and cultural center, and yeah, that's the idea.
That sounds fantastic. You know, your values and your sentiments are reflected and mirrored in our organization, because when we set this up, I was determined that we would remain independent, self-governing, self-funded, self-determining. I've not sought any grant or philanthropic support that might exert pressure on us to do things a certain way. I'm open to sponsorship if it's with the right organization that wants to reach 60,000 arts and culture professionals. But I was determined we needed to remain inclusive, borderless, diverse, and tolerant above anything. I've heard some interesting sayings. I was taught once, I can't remember who said it, but they said, difference breeds suspicion, suspicion breeds fear, fear breeds anger, and anger breeds violence. So if you can nip it in the bud at difference, which it means anybody under the age of 5 years old, basically, if you can just keep that acceptance of difference into someone's teens, I think you're unlikely to end up with a fascist racist on your hands, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, tolerance is great. I like that. Unity in diversity is great. So, well, I have no doubt you'll get there, because you're a very smart cookie. You made the best decision of your professional life to attend my event. Because you might be sitting somewhere entirely different as we're speaking otherwise. And I think you'll be an asset to anybody who has the fortune to have you on their team. And I have no doubt that somebody with your drive and enthusiasm and passion for our sector will end up leading an organization that does all of the things that you've just described. And I think we should all be very excited at the prospect of that. And anything I can do to help, please ask.
Thank you so much, Mark. I really, really, really appreciate the help. And I am really getting to learn a lot with the current job that I have. It's a very new arts foundation. And so since it's like growing, I get to get an experience of how it would look like if I were to set up my own institution. So the beginnings of an organization. So I'm learning quite a lot in this position. So that's great.
Great.
Yeah.
We're going to have further conversations, but in the meantime, thank you so much for joining us as a full member. Do try and recruit your new employees, won't you?
Will do. And thank you for having me, Mark.
Yeah, or get them to pay for your membership would be even better. There we go.
That would be great.
Yeah. Yeah, you must ask them what their policy is around ongoing continuous professional development.
Professional development. Yeah, I will do that.
Thank you so much, Anjali.
Thank you for having me, Mark.